So, should we all be cowering in fear at the possibility that the president is going to close Guantanamo, or should we be selling? This kind of, tags onto the back of the self-censorship thing. Is it patriotic to say we're going to do the right thing? We're going to free people that we improperly, immorally, and frankly illegally imprisoned. Are we going to free these people? And I think, frankly, we should compensate them for the damage we did to them in their lives and give them something to get, some grub stake, basically, or whatever it's called, something to get started in a new life. Are we going to do that, or are we going to just continue to keep people in a hellhole, in a cage in Guantanamo? A lot of these guys they're trying to kill themselves. 6 of them have already committed suicide. What has happened to this country that Republicans can sell fear as a political commodity? They're doing it with Ebola right now. Oh, my God, be afraid of Ebola. Put a travel ban on. We can't have these people coming into this country. Oh, my. Right. Rush Limbaugh has had more wives than people who have gotten Ebola in the United States. Seriously, your odds of getting Ebola in the United States are lower than your odds of getting married to Rush Limbaugh. Isn't that reassuring? Actually, it's a little terrifying, isn't it? But it's real. Here's another. This is I found this particularly interesting. On this program, I think it was 8 years ago or so, I started going off on high-fructose corn syrup. We lived in Atlanta when Coke changed their formula, which it turns out in retrospect, I think everybody in Atlanta had figured it out by within a year or so. Coke has never come out and confessed to this, but that really what they wanted to do is they wanted to replace sugar as the price of sugar was going up, cane sugar. They wanted to replace the sugar that had been in Coca-Cola for years and years and years with high-fructose corn syrup, the price of which was dropping like crazy because it's made out of corn, and the agriculture bills, the big corn producers were getting these huge subsidies out of the federal government to grow corn. Some of it was being made into ethanol, some of it was being made into high-fructose corn syrup, which is a chemical. It's not a naturally occurring sweetener. You have to take corn and subject it to all kinds of chemical reactions to turn it into this stuff. And really the new Coke thing was just sugar to high-fructose corn syrup, and then people said, I don't like the taste, and so they cut back on the corn syrup with the Coke Classic, but the Coke Classic didn't have sugar in it. It had high-fructose corn syrup in it. So here's this fascinating study. You know what a telomere is? We've talked about telomeres before. At the end of a strand of DNA, there's these little things. It's like the little plastic head on the end of a shoelace. There's actually a name for them, but I can't remember it. But these little things on the end of a shoelace. There's something just like that on the end of your DNA, on the end of your genes. And it wraps around 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 times. And every time that DNA reproduces, every time that cell divides with the last iteration of telomere vanishes. And when the last telomere is gone, the cell can no longer reproduce and it dies. And so the number of telomeres you have, or the length of the telomere, determines how long your cells are, the individual cells are going to live, and when you aggregate them throughout your body, that determines how long you're going to live. And one of the things that we know is that exposure to really toxic stuff shortens your telomeres. Like smoking, for example, cuts on average 5 to 10 years off your age, and you can tell if somebody is a smoker by literally looking at their telomeres. On the other hand, they have just recently discovered that people who eat a high-quality, plant-based, natural foods diet and meditate, and there's some great videos on this over at nutritionfacts.org, it actually lengthens. You can lengthen your own telomeres by up to 10%. In other words, you can reverse the aging process. But anyhow, here's where it gets interesting. Drinking, this is Mandy Oaklander writing for Time magazine. Drinking an 8-ounce daily serving of soda corresponded to 1.9 years of additional aging. Drinking a daily 20-ounce serving was linked to 4.6 years of aging. They didn't see an association between telomere length and diet soda intake, so it's clearly the sweetener in the sodas. And here's where it gets fascinating. She also did not see a significant link between non-carbonated sugar beverages like fruit juice. Okay, fruit juice has just as much sugar in it as soda does. The difference is that it's naturally occurring fructose, and dextrose and sucrose is naturally occurring fruit sugars. Whereas in soda, it's high fructose corn syrup. And it is whacking people's telomeres. This was a study that was done on 5,309 adults in the National Health and Nutrition Examination Study over a 14-year period. And amazing. So, you want things to be worried about? Ebola's not on the list. People being let out of Guantanamo, they're not on the list. The things to worry about are, smoking's going to kill you. Drinking high fructose corn syrup is going to shorten your life, or might shorten your life. At least this study seems to imply it. So really.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THOM.
Republicans want us to be afraid of all the wrong things. Be afraid of those guys in Gitmo, but don't worry about the poison that's coming out of the refineries and the paper plants that the Koch brothers own.